Welcome to the Fan Perspective. This is a special edition. Regularly scheduled programming shall resume tomorrow with a look back at Week 2 in the NFL and Week 2 in fantasy. But today, I just wanted to do a video to talk about some of the different teams that have been underperforming this year and to talk about why they have been underperforming. First of all, let's talk about the Cowboys. Now, you might ask, well, how are they underperforming when they're 2-1 at the top of their division? Well, for me personally, I looked at the schedule and I figured they'd start 3-0. And one of the reasons that they haven't, one of the reasons that they struggled is because that O-line is a mess. Their tackles are pretty decent, but the interior is just horrible. They barely did anything to really shore up that O-line over the offseason, and injuries have damaged them, especially at center, and it is showing up in the games right now. Dallas has a lot of talent on that roster, and it's an offense that can easily put up 30 points a game, but they can't establish the running game because, DeMarco Murray can't find any holes up the middle. Tony Romo is getting pressure in his face all day, and that's forcing him to make bad decisions, make bad mistakes. And even though they are 2-1, they are winning games right now. They're at the top of the division. That's not going to continue happening if they don't improve. That O-line is holding the offense back, and as the season wears on, that will eventually take its toll on them. You'll see the effect that has. The O-line is very important to a lot of teams. Just ask the Patriots. They're 1-2 right now, which nobody saw coming, not even me. And a lot of that is because of O-line issues. If you look at that O-line, there have been a lot of times where throughout his career, Tom Brady would have 3 or more Pro Bowlers on the offensive line, and that is not the case right now, and it shows. And it's because of that O-line. They're playing against teams like the Cardinals and the Ravens. They've got guys attacking the middle like Darnell Dockett and Haloti Ngata. Those guys can bring pressure. Tom Brady's getting hit more than he's used to, and I think that, and once again, the O-line is holding the offense back, limiting what they're capable of. They're not able to establish the run well enough like they're supposed to. And same thing goes for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'm very proud of the fact that I picked the upset this week with Oakland defeating them. No one else saw that coming, but I saw it coming because, one, McFadden has been underperforming so far this season. I expected him to play angry, go beast mode against the banged up Steelers defense, but also just because that Steelers O-line is struggling right now. And for the past few years, the Steelers haven't really had a great O-line. And the Raiders defense has they're not the greatest in the league, but they have a pretty badass line. That defensive tackle alone is very dangerous and deadly. And I knew that the Steelers would have trouble running the ball, establishing the ground game, and I figured Ben would be throwing upwards of 50 times a game, which would leave him open to take a few hits. And that's part of the reason that teams like this are struggling. They're having trouble establishing themselves, on offense, and that's not the case with the Saints, who I think they're the biggest shock of the season, starting 0-3. And for them, I believe it's just coaching issues. Their head coach is gone for the season. Their defensive coordinator, who was made the interim head coach, he's currently suspended. So now they've got an interim head coach, and that and all the distractions, it's affected them the way that they play on the field. And I think the Saints are a great team. They've got Drew Brees, and he always gives them a fighting chance. But if you look at them, they are 0-3 for a reason. And if you look at their losses, they're losing usually by just one score. They're losing by 1 field goal, 1 touchdown. And I think they're just barely losing these games. They're still in it. And I think that's where the head coach comes in. He gives them that extra push. He knows how to put guys in the right position. He knows how to motivate guys to keep fighting hard. And I think that's the biggest reason why they're losing. Coaching really does have an effect on the game. And also, I feel the need to point out the fact that, you know, in the referees are definitely having an effect. There are so many pass interference calls going on that there's, I mean, so many phantom penalties, and yet there are so many times where there is a blatant hit. There is, you know, people just intentionally, looks like the defenders are intentionally trying to hurt somebody and no flag at all. I mean, just, it's getting out of hand. There are too many scuffles going on the field. I mean, Alex Smith lost part of his ear. I mean, this needs to get settled because it's really getting out of hand. It's getting very dangerous. And it's just, it does worry me. And anyways, those are my thoughts. I just wanted to point a few things out to you. And I picked those teams specifically because, you know, for me, those are the only teams that are really underperforming. I think those teams have yet to reach their potential. You know, and why are there not other teams included, like Carolina? You know, the Carolina's not included, you know, for the same reason that the Jets aren't included, that the Chiefs aren't included. It's because I'm going with, you know, those teams, it's because your expectations were just too high. I mean, like with Carolina, people are picking them to win the division, get to the Super Bowl. Did you really buy into all that bullshit? I mean, yes, Cam's a great player, but it's not enough. You know, and it's just, you know, I think the only people disappointed in them are those diehard fans who were expecting them to just suddenly break through and just dominate everybody. So yeah, I think those are the only teams that are performing below what I expected, and those are the reasons why I believe they are underperforming at this point. So yeah, tune in tomorrow. I'm gonna put up my videos with reflections on week 3, and yes, stay tuned for more from the fan perspective.